Hey everybody, Mags here. We are going to review some of the hints and tips that we've been given this year on the Dynasty Hot Seat. If you are new here, do me a favor, can you like, comment, share on this video for me, please, like you can see here. And then also, if you're new here, why not hit that subscribe button too? It really helps out. Right, on to the hints and tips.
Biggest thing, be active. Be an active owner, manager in your leagues. And I cannot emphasize that enough, because if you're stepping into the dynasty world, you're leaving behind that redraft world a little bit and there's a little bit less set it and forget it lineups. And I think that we can get complacent because, as you look at the roster size, it can be difficult to see value plays if you're playing in deeper dynasty leagues and moves, and continue to turn that back end of that roster. Be active there and continue to work to consolidate. And that's one of my guiding principles in Dynasty, and just how I play fantasy in general, is continue to consolidate. Move 2 or 3 pieces up into one bigger piece, or do those moves that you possibly can. Move into draft picks or move whatever it might be. Try to capitalize on those small value windows. And I think that's easier said than done, because we're all kind of plugged in and we all kind of recognize that maybe this tight end's on a hot streak right now, and we can think and we can give that out there that you'll get value for him. But at the same time, everybody's hearing that advice. And so sometimes maybe it's better. We might say a guy has a late first round value right now or a second round value right now. And maybe we know that there's small value windows, and like a guy like Robert Tonyan 2 years ago had a great value window, but everybody recognized that, and so it made it hard to move off. So sometimes look at maybe moving for a third round pick instead of that second round pick, because you're still getting that future value, you're still capitalizing, and maybe you're losing the trade in the moment, but you're continuing to accrue value and continuing to accrue pieces on that dynasty roster. And I'm really big on trading for picks. I'm a Devy guy at heart, so I love college football. I'm always looking at the rookies, and even if you don't play Devy, check it out, because that gives you a value guide on where to value those picks. But again, draft picks are fluid and draft picks are currency. And so to move temporary pieces into draft picks, you might get a third round pick for a guy that everybody says is worth a second round pick. But at the same time, now you've got a third round pick that the next time that cocomes up, you can use that third round pick and the next value window for a second round pick. And instead of a team saying, I'm moving, I don't want to give up my straight second for that, all of a sudden, okay, well, I'm moving back to the third and I'm getting that guy. And then you've got that second round pick, and you can move that into a first round pick. And one of the things that I always love to say is that seconds can become firsts. And so I think that's playing a year out, playing 2 years out, getting those values, and then it gives you an entry point to step that up and to work that up within the draft. And then being able to pay attention to college, being able to pay attention to Devy, know those tiers ahead of time, and know those tiers really in March or April, depending on when your rookie draft is going to be, can allow you to make those consolidation moves, can allow you to move within tiers before a lot of your league gets plugged in. And that's where you really see value. And I think that we all get on the clock and we all want to say, well, I want to move back because I believe that's the smart thing to do to accrue value. But that's always easier said than done, usually in leagues. And so to be proactive about that moves and do those before really people have crystallized the value on those.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. And I love the use of the word consolidation there. It's like, don't just pay attention to the top end of your roster. Keep moving those pieces around, keep getting the top sort of get the bottom sort of get every single piece that you can. And pay attention. A bit of advice that we've had a couple of times in the show is, don't be that guy in the comments that goes, oh, I would have given you more than that, or I would have done that. It's like, you didn't. Man, you gotta get up early. You gotta catch these things whenever they're hot. And I think that's really good. Just be active, get as much done as you can, and try and get those kind of snippets of news, before for other people, go listen to the football guys. They know what they're talking about, right? They'll help you.
That's right.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So love that as a first tip, Jeff. So what else you got for us?
With inside that, I would say the way I look at it is, I don't know. I kind of have, it's hard to explain it, but I have players that matter and players that don't really in my mind.
Okay.
And so like I kind of operate with that mindset. And when I'm building rosters, I'm really targeting the quarterback position, the wide receiver
Yeah.
positions, and
Yeah.
locking those down with players that matter. Because I think that one of the mistakes that people make in Dynasty is going too deep on your wide receivers on your roster, and having these guys that it's easy. I think sometimes it's very easy to see the receiver that, oh, well, he's at least putting up points, so I should have him on my roster. But
Yeah.
how often are you going to play that guy versus having a running back that can step in and spike value? And I think that that's one of the biggest mistakes that players that are new to Dynasty take. Is I don't really, when I build a Dynasty roster, I don't really want my receivers to be deeper than maybe like 6 or 7 guys. And I want to fill
Mm.
that bench up with running backs, because while that running back might not be getting points right now, if he's third on the depth chart, that really means he's one bad thing away from being second on the depth chart. And if he ever extends to top on the depth chart, then you know you can plug him into your lineup. And so
Yeah.
I think that that's one of the biggest things that people make mistakes on playing. They see a guy that they say, well, at least he's scoring points at wide receiver. And so, but it's like 8 points. What's 8 points going to get you? Versus,
Yeah.
being able to start receivers that matter, being able to consolidate into those receiver positions and feeling comfortable with that depth through your wide receivers and through your flex positions with wide receivers, and then spike into value at running back.
Yeah, I really like that. Especially, there is certainly like a cut-off point, and I don't know why, but the second you said that, one player really sprang to mind. I don't, you might not agree, but I just thought, someone like Michael Gallup, right? Who's
Yeah.
like a good player. He will get you like 8 points, 9 points. But are you ever really going to start him? Probably not. And you might rather that extra running back in who has more of a chance of getting that positional play. Running backs are going to get injured more than wide receivers, so there's much more of a chance that running back is going to get a big play rather than CeeDee Lamb getting injured and Dalton Schultz getting injured, and then Michael Gallup's the guy. There's more of a chance that flyer at running back is going to get you those points ahead of Michael Gallup. As good a player as he is, I'm sure he's a lovely human, but yeah, he's not going to get you those points that you need.
Yeah.
Yeah, really like that for advice, Jeff. And you got a third and final tip for us?
I would say continue to build younger. And I think that there's a lot of comments out there and belief of, well, I'm going to win now, or I'm in my dynasty league to win, and I want veteran players. And I think that people don't recognize and realize that how quickly players they score. It's not this type of thing where coaches are sitting a guy for 2 or 3 seasons before he's going to start to contribute. Rookies step in and contribute right away. Second year players contribute right away. And so I think oftentimes, especially if you're in a startup, it's very easy to work within ADP and continue to grab young players within that ADP. And if you do that all the way through, then all of a sudden at the end, when the picture is complete, you're doing these little puzzle pieces. And if you're going young every single time, when it's complete, you've got an entirely young roster. And I think that there's a lot said about veterans and trying to win right now and not wasting your time and not playing for tomorrow. But I think the reality of it is you can win with a young roster. And I think that that's one of the things that, it almost makes me laugh when I see that on Twitter, because it almost makes me feel like, okay, well, there's somebody in their league that's stuck on some older running backs that wants to change the conversation and get them off their roster, is kind of the way that I look at it whenever I see like a tweet come across like that, or something of like, you're trying to send some subliminal messages in your league because you've got some older guys that you want to get off of.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I love that as well. That's kind of like, that's sort of one of the big points about playing Dynasty, is you get these young guys on your team, right? And give them a shot and try them out. This isn't, a redraft league. So it is cool that you get all these young players in your team. And yeah, I like it sometimes just being like, I'm going to go to this draft and I'm going to take the youngest team I can possibly get. And we're just going to go with it. And we're just going to see what happens. And yeah, I love that. My first Dynasty league, I did that. And I was just like, oh, so I get to keep these players? I'm just going to take all the young guys. And by fluke, it's ended up, quite good. I didn't know what I was doing, but it ended up quite good. So, it's nice to try that sometimes. And yeah, it's part of the fun of Dynasty, is getting those players.
And I think, too, what people don't realize is that as you're starting out that first year of your Dynasty League, one, you can be competitive with young players, but two, if you have one blip of a year, there's so much more value on having like the 101 versus the 109 or whatever it is. And so even just having that one slow year, and like this year we've got last year you had Breece Hall that you could have added to your roster, or next year coming up, Bijan Robinson, everybody's already talking about him. And so, I tend to build my rosters, especially when I'm in a startup. I'll kind of go towards that zero RB approach, because I think you can get value guys that come in as backups that you can play week to week if you've got the stomach for it. But the other thing too, if you've done that all the way through, if you've loaded in young quarterbacks, if you've loaded in young wide receivers, and you do have that 1 year starting out where you're not very good, all of a sudden you're taking that hot rookie running back, you're plugging that guy right in there, you're solidifying one of those running back positions, and you're essentially adding an extra first or second round pick from the startup versus somebody that maybe they say, well, I'm going to go out and win and right away. And all of a sudden, they're adding more like a 8th or 9th round pick after that first year. And if they don't win right away, then they're stuck. And I think that's the biggest thing I think there's value to be realized, and I think that we are probably too ageist in the Dynasty community when it comes to trades and not wanting to step into veteran players. It's tough because there's that balance of like, well, I used a 4th round startup pick on Austin Eckler, so I should think he should be worth this. And like, well, that's fine, but you're not operating within a trade calculator in your league. You're operating within a mini economy in your league, and what your league says his value is what his value really is. And I think that that's one of the biggest things that people struggle with in Dynasty, because nobody wants to lose a trade and nobody wants to lose value, but you need to, it's economics. You need to operate within the market that you operate within. And so if everybody in your startup fades a player, that doesn't suddenly make him a value. That makes him a player that your entire league has spoken and they don't have interest in. And so I think that that's one of the things that people struggle to understand, that every single league is its own ecosystem, own environmental economic system, that you need to operate and understand those values within your league and not strictly adhere to what the values might say on a website. But at the same time, I understand. And it's one of those things too. So like I had Christian McCaffrey the summer of 2020 on a team that I was kind of rebuilding. And I did a deal, and it was one of those that like, this was the best offer I could get. And I felt like I needed to move him, and I wasn't quite sure if I won the deal or not. And I wasn't super concerned about that, but like I traded him for Deebo Samuel at the time, and then Deebo had like an injury-ridden year, and then I got a first round pick for him, and I got like Jerry Jeudy, and this was when Christian McCaffrey was like the 102, and it was one of those
Christian McCaffrey.
Yes, and it was one of those that immediately it felt like a loss of trade. And for most of of that 2020 year, when Deebo Samuel was injured and Jerry Jeudy wasn't really doing much as a rookie, it felt like you lost it. Well, lo and behold, the next year, now Deebo Samuel is more valuable than Christian McCaffrey is in a lot of leagues. I got a first round pick that I ended up flipping that and another minor asset for DK Metcalf. And all of a sudden, and I won the league the second year. Like I went from rebuilding to winning the league the next year. And I think that's something too, that rebuilds should be short and quick. And if you're not doing it right, then you just have a bad team.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that as well. Like, if you're going to rebuild it, like, it's so much harder to rebuild if you think, right, in 4 years, I'll be ready. It's like, you don't know that really. Like, do you really know that? Like, I don't think you do. Like, you're right. You want to have a shorter window for your rebuild. Get all those pieces that you want all together as quickly as possible. So I like that as a tip as well. Like a little bonus tip at the end there about rebuilds. And thank you so much for watching today's video. Remember, like this video, leave a comment if you want, and subscribe to the channel. These videos are going to be coming thick and fast, so you don't want to miss anything. So that's it for today. In the meantime, keep yourselves, keep your teams lit. We'll see you next time.